Hi everyone, Mary here. Welcome to my channel. So I just got back from Target and I always like to check out their bargain section. It's usually right when you come in, a few short aisles there with neat things for good prices. I thought today they didn't have quite the variety like they sometimes have. They had a lot of Halloween things, which I'm not really into, but I did manage to snag a few pretty neat items, and I'll share those with you. First, I have this glass jar with a copper handle and ring, and a set of two pint jars, also with copper lids, and this cute little chalkboard frame, and this white house. It actually has a little light inside, a little battery operated light, and this was $5, and the jar was $5, the frame was $4, and the jars were $3. And I did find a few other items that weren't in that bargain section that I thought had pretty good prices. I got these 4 flour sack towels. I think they were $3 something. And I have a gray storage bin that was $4. And then last I have this white tray. This was the most expensive item from all the items here. It was $12 something, but I just love the size of it, and I love trays. I think they're so handy we have a family room upstairs, so we will often just grab a tray to, set our glasses and snack bowls or whatever on. So in today's video, I will be adding words and quotes to all of these items using my Silhouette Cameo, and I'm actually launching a new line of vinyl decals on my Etsy shop. So this is kind of what this is all about. I need items that I can actually, take pictures of, then to advertise on my shop. So I thought if I'm doing this anyway, I may as well just, film everything, and that way if any of you have questions, if you do end up, buying a decal and you have questions on how to transfer it onto a surface, you could always, watch this video, and hopefully I can be clear and descriptive on how, I do it, and maybe share some of my tips with you guys so it'll be easier to do. I know, for me, I almost do it daily, so it's really not hard at all for me, but I understand if you're not used to this sort of thing, it can be kind of tricky. So hopefully I can kind of help you out on that end. Okay, so this is what the vinyl decals will look like. The difference between a decal and a stencil is, the decal is the actual lettering, so you would need a surface that is vinyl friendly to apply it to. It can be smooth wood, plastic, glass, anything that's really smooth usually works with vinyl. Now fabric isn't a good idea unless you would never, wash it. It might work. And then the stencil is, of course, the letters actually weeded out. So you would apply this to a surface and then paint in the letters. So that's the difference between the stencil and the vinyl decal. So I know you've seen me do this quite often, the stencils and the decals, so I didn't really go through the steps of actually, cutting it out and applying the transfer tape. I already did that. I'm sure you're kind of familiar with that if you're at all following my channel, but I will show you a step-by-step if you would end up purchasing any of these stencils or decals. I'll try to get a good, close-up, clear video on how to actually apply it to a surface. So the first decal will be applied to this jar, and I would advise you to measure before taking off the backing. It's always a good idea, especially if you're not used to something like this, to maybe just mark it with tape or something, to just make sure you have it, centered the way you like. For this, I'm just going to do it quickly and I'm not going to measure, but again, it would probably be a good idea. And another thing with applying these decals, it's always best to kind of start out once you have it on your surface. Glass is probably the hardest because once it's on there, there's no getting it back off without probably ruining the decal. With wood, sometimes you can just slide it around a bit, but it's always good to kind of get your center and then work outwards to, get it to stick then. Now I have a scraper that I use to get that vinyl to stick to the glass in this case, but a credit card or a spatula, anything, you know, hard plastic will work too. And then you're ready to remove your transfer tape. And it's always best to not just pull it up, to kind of roll it over. I hope you can tell in the video, but kind of, yeah, roll it over and just work its way off, and just make sure, you know, as you go, some of the vinyl is going to want to come, you know, up or off, but just keep an eye on it, and, you know, just make so you press it down kind of as you go. When I work with applying, you know, quotes and stuff to things at home here, I always use an old, barely sticky piece of transfer tape, so I'm really not used to this really sticky stuff. So with mine here at home, I can just peel it off and I don't have to worry about this vinyl coming with it usually. So this is a bit more tricky having the brand new transfer tape, but I wanted to use it to show you guys in case you decide to order any of these. This would be exactly the way you would receive it. So normally for a, you know, canvas storage bin like this, I would paint the letters on, but I'm going to try to just use the vinyl in this case. I think if, you know, it doesn't get used a lot or touched a lot, it should be okay to, you know, stick to this canvas. For the tea towels, I decided to iron my surface where the images would be painted on, just to get it nice and, you know, wrinkle free, no folds in there. So when painting on fabric, I always stick a magazine or a newspaper underneath my surface where I'll be painting so it doesn't bleed through. And I always use this multi-surface paint. It's in the craft paint section in Walmart is where I get it. And this is black. And I use this little sponsor tool to apply it. And I always have a paper plate to put my paint on. And you have to be really, really careful when painting on fabric to not get, you know, one little drop of paint anywhere else on this fabric than the area you actually want to paint. Trust me, that has happened to me already. So if you would order a stencil, this is what it would look like. I will probably even use the contact paper from Dollar General or Walmart because I like it so much to paint on. I actually like it better than the vinyl. So first you would remove your backing carefully, of course. for this towel here, in this case, I'm painting it on, I will find my center here. And just mark it some way with, in this case, I'll just make a little fold in there so I know where my center is at. And again, measuring would be a good idea, but I'm just quickly going to eye it here. With fabric, I usually let the paint dry just to not risk getting any of the wet paint onto another piece of the fabric. So by now you're probably kind of tired of watching me apply decals and stencils to things, so I will stop now. I hope it was somewhat informative, and if you do decide to order, feel free to message me anytime if you would have any questions, but you can always hop on over to this video to watch and maybe get something out of it. And I will play the After Effects. I took little video snips of all the items since I need them for my Etsy shop anyway. So I will play that after this. But I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.